In this video, I'm going to tell you guys the best settings for OPTIFINE for any version of Minecraft, and also I'll tell you a secret tip that no one else really tells you at the end of this video, so stick around for that. But before we begin, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and also check out my Twitch. I stream there Monday through Friday, and we'd love to see you there. Other than that, let's get right into the video. Alright, so to get started, what you're going to want to go ahead and do is go ahead and press escape, go to options, and go to video settings. And from there, you'll be greeted with a page similar to this. Now, before we get too into these settings, I want to let you know that each computer is very different, and all these settings I'm telling you is what works on most computers. Some computers may not be the exact same, and you may have better FPS on certain settings than the ones I show you, and I encourage you to try out all the settings that you possibly can and see what works and what doesn't work. Because again, everybody's computer is different. So I recommend that you take these settings and then mess around with these and tweak those settings that I give you to get the best performance for your computer. So there are a lot of settings to mess around with the video settings tab in Minecraft, especially with OPTIFINE installed. But we're going to go ahead and take a look at the first page for now, and then we'll get to shaders, details, animations, quality, performance, and other. But for now, we're going to stick with this page right here. So to start off, you're going to want to go ahead and take a look at graphics. Now there's three options: fast, fancy, and fabulous. Fast is the best for frame rates, fancy will be a little bit higher quality, and then fabulous is even a little bit more than fancy. So fabulous honestly is probably one of the more useless ones. I would choose between fast and fancy, with fast being the better for frame rate. Alright, so next up is smooth lighting, and for those of you guys who don't know what exactly it is, it just kind of adds lighting to the game. So as you can see here, this tree here has not much of a difference in color or shade based on the sun and whatnot. But if you go ahead and turn on smooth lighting, for example, onto maximum for the easiest way to see it, you can tell that it's a little bit darker on the inside because the sun isn't hitting it as much in there. But like on the outside, it's a little more brighter. So you can tell that there's a little bit more of a detail there. So obviously, this is going to impact your FPS. If you have it off, it's going to give you the best FPS. While if you have maximum, it's going to have the worst. And obviously, in between is minimum. So choose whichever one you like. In terms of smooth lighting level, that's also like a personal preference. It doesn't really affect the quality of the game in terms of like performance, but it will impact how you see the shadows and things like that on the lighting and stuff. So that one doesn't really impact your actual FPS. It's this tab over here that does. Alright, so next up is dynamic lights. So if you have it off, as you can see in my left hand corner, the torch doesn't really light up anything. But if you put it on fast, it does. So what it does is it lets you light up the world with your torch in your left hand. And if you do fast and fancy, those will give you different qualities. So fast will be a little less quality and fancy will be a little more quality. So for the best settings, you can keep it either on off or fast, depending on if you want the lighting or not. I recommend fast because I do like the effect of being able to hold a torch while you're moving around and light up anything that's around you. But that's also, once again, a personal preference. It doesn't prevent mobs to spawn or anything like that. So you still have to place the torch for it to prevent mob spawning, but it's still a pretty cool feature nonetheless. Alright, so for render distance, if you're really having bad FPS, you can go ahead and drop it to the left side, but if you want to be able to see farther, you can go to the right. So there is trade-offs. If you want to see farther, you can increase the chunks, but your FPS will drop because you're rendering more space in the same amount of time. Or if you want to be able to get the best FPS, you can just drop it all the way down and you'll get the best FPS that you possibly can. Although keep in mind, your game will kind of look like this and things will not like really get spawned in until you like move closer and closer to it, which is kind of annoying in my opinion, which is why I recommend you try to keep it around 8 to 16 if you can, at least in a minimum. But like obviously if your computer is not that great, just go ahead and crank it down lower if you're comfortable playing like this. So next up is the details tab. So go ahead and click the details tab in the lower left hand corner of the video settings. From there, you're going to be greeted with a page similar to this. While I could go over every single tab in detail, I feel like that would take forever and we're not here to make a 50-minute video. So I'm going to go ahead and go through things briefly and go over the best settings in terms of FPS, and obviously you can adjust from there. For clouds, go ahead and keep that off unless you have custom clouds in your texture pack. Trees you can make fast. Sky, keep off unless custom texture pack. Same with sun and moon. If you have custom texture pack, keep it on. If not, keep it off. Fog you can keep off. Translucent blocks, fast. Dropped items, fast. Whatever this word is, vinegar or something, keep fast. Entity distance, I think you can probably do 100, but for the best FPS you want 50. I think it's probably better to keep it at 100, but again, that's up to you. Cloud height, it doesn't matter because you have it off, but I would just put it on off just in case. Rain and snow, keep it off unless you want the weather on or you have a custom rain or whatever it may be. Stars, you can keep off unless, again, you have custom stars. Show capes, keep off unless, again, you need capes. Fog start, you can do whatever you want with this one, but fog is off anyway, so it shouldn't really matter. Held item tooltips doesn't really matter. Swamp color, go ahead and keep off. Alternate blocks, keep off. And BioBlend, keep off. Once you're done with the detail setting, go ahead and click done and go to animations. From there, this is going to be the page you're greeted with. Now, the thing with this settings is that if you turn them all off, your game is going to look atrocious. But if you want the best FPS, then the way to go is to turn them all off. The thing is, though, if you turn all these off, like I said, your game is going to look ugly, and I don't know if you really want to play with a really ugly game. For example, if you turn off fire animated, if you get set on fire, you're going to have a big red X on your screen rather than a fire animation, and I don't know if that's going to be the most fun to play with. Again, this is personal preference. If you want the best FPS, turn it all off. If you want to kind of mess around and try to still get better FPS, but, you know, turn off the ones that maybe don't mean much to you. For example, maybe dripping water / lava doesn't mean much to you. Then I would do that. I think that's the better strategy for this settings. Also, if you want the least amount of particles and the best FPS, go ahead and click minimal for this one. If you want a little bit more quality, then you can do decrease. And if you want the most quality, you can keep all. I recommend minimal for lower end computers, and then obviously adjust from there. Next up, go ahead and click the quality tab and you'll be greeted with a page similar to this one. From here, I'm going to show you guys the best ones for FPS, and again, like last time, you can adjust accordingly to what you like, because obviously I could be here all day explaining every single setting, but I don't think anybody wants to wait 30 minutes for me to go through every single thing. So the first thing you're going to want to go ahead and keep off is mipmap. Go ahead and turn off anisotropic filtering. Turn off emissive textures. If this might crash your game, so if it does crash your game, keep it on, obviously. Better grass, off. Custom font, off. Connection textures, fast or off. Custom sky, off. Custom entity, off. Mipmap, nearest. Anti-lacing, off. Random entities, off. Better snow, off. Custom colors, off. Natural textures, off. And custom items and GUIs, both off. Alright, so next up is the performance tab. So go ahead and go to the lower right hand corner and click performance tab like so. From there, go ahead and keep render regions on, smart animations on, smooth FPS on, chunk updates to 1, and then you'll be greeted with something like lazy chunk loading. And this one makes your game feel smoother, but it's not actually faster, if that makes sense. So I'd keep this on if you can afford to, but turn it off if you're having issues. This one's one of those settings you kind of want to mess around with, and depending on your computer may be different. For me, it works on, but maybe for you, it might be off. Fast render, go ahead and keep on. Fast math, on. Smooth world is, again, one of those settings you kind of want to mess around with. Same with dynamic updates. These three on the bottom right here, like so, are probably something you kind of want to mess around with for the best settings. Honestly, go ahead and try out all of these the way you want to and see if it makes a difference. For me, these are the best settings, and I think for most people, this will be the best settings, but some computers, again, might be different, so just kind of mess around with these as well. Finally, we have the other tab. This is where I'm going to show you guys that one trick that I was telling you guys about earlier in the video, and that is the autosave tab. So what autosave does is that every certain amount of time, it'll save your game, so then that way if your game crashes, you can kind of leave off wherever your last save was. So it kind of is a safety net in a way. So then that way you don't have to close out the game to save and then log back in. You can just kind of play for hours, and for the most part, it'll automatically save. The thing is though, because of those saves, every once in a while you may see a notice in like lag or something for like 10-15 seconds, and that's because of the autosave. Basically what's happening is it's saving the game, so it kind of lags a little bit because of that. And so if you increase the time allotment for your autosaves, for example, the default 6 minutes, but if you do it to 24 minutes, then that means your game will save every 24 minutes, and that means you'll only have that lag every 24 minutes. Keep in mind though, if your game often crashes, keeping at 24 minutes means there's a higher chance you lose a lot of progress if your game randomly crashes. So kind of adjust this according to how your game usually performs. If you don't crash much, then 24 minutes is more than likely fine. Maybe even 12 minutes if you're a little bit worried. But if you do crash a lot and you want to be able to save frequently, then you can also do 45 or 95 seconds. But keep in mind, this will also lag your game a little bit more because you'll get frequent lag spikes because of the automatic saves. So just kind of keep that in mind, just adjust it to whatever you really want, or you can just leave it as default. It's just a tip that not a lot of people know about, so I thought I'd tell you guys about it. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe for the best Minecraft videos on YouTube. Also, feel free to check out my Twitch, where I live stream Monday through Friday playing Minecraft, as well as a bunch of other games. So if you're looking for some fun in the summer, feel free to drop in over there. Other than that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Goodbye.